probably usually do about 15% longer, because it takes them, like to run a 600 for a boy is about the same as a girl in a 500. So they end up running the same amount of time, it's just a little bit different distance. So you can see the progression here as we go down. Typically, especially if we don't have a meet on Tuesday, we try to do this workout on Monday, because it's the hardest workout of the week, and it's good to get it over with and make sure you get it in. It's a great workout in bad weather. You don't have to have nice weather to do this, because it's just gutting it out, it's all it is. And anyway, so this is like last year's progression of what we did. Now, as you get more into week 9 and beyond, that's kind of May, and that's the big stuff, everything from true team and subsection and section and so on. You'll see the distance has reduced quite a bit, but it's fast and it's hard. I mean, 4 300s can be as hard as the 4 500s were early in the season. And so that's kind of the progression we've used. I think it's been a really good thing. We seem to get fastest in May because we're running shorter intervals and having longer recovery. You know, if you run a 600, your recovery is not going to be that long, maybe 3 minutes. If you're down there in week 11 and you're running 200s, you know, that only takes you 25 to 30 seconds, and you've got a long recovery there. So it does develop the speed, I think. I would say that with this workout, we maybe sacrificed the 100 a little bit, and we maybe sacrificed the 3200 a little bit. So that's why we don't have, we maybe haven't done as well in the 100 over the years, and maybe not quite as well in the 2 mile over the years. But it does help the 200. It makes a big difference coming down that straightaway in the 200. It's essential for the 4 and the 8, and it helps the 16, because a lot of the distance folks, especially cross country folks, they're too used to running slow, you know, and there's no doubt it helps them.
So how does the 48 minutes apply? Is it divided amongst the reps?
Yeah, so like if you got an even number, like 8, you do 1 every 6 minutes. And so that includes the run and the rest. I always tell them, you know, the faster you go, the more rest you get. And so that's how it works. Yeah. And if it's 7, like week 5, there's 7 300s, then it'd be 49-minute drill. So great question. Anything else anybody has on that?
So how do you get them to make sure that they're working hard enough in that time?
I was just going to go there. That's a great question. Okay, so what we do, we don't let them do it on their own. You know, we might have a high jumper high jumping that day and do the first and high jump for a while and then come over and do the second half of the workout. There's a coach with them all the time, timing them. And if you look on the next page, page 6, you will see. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to switch that up to page 7. That is an actual workout there where we did, girls were 8-250s and boys were 8-300. We time and record every single run. And so if some kid is over with Coach Voss in the high jump and he's supposed to come over and do a 24-minute drill, let's say, they report to the coach who's running that workout, and then they just jump in. And we go, oh, fresh guy, you know, and we make a big deal of it. So, and I think by timing and recording it, it creates responsibility. And I, as a coach, I go home at night, hey, Marissa, you didn't run 8 yesterday. I only got 6 times down. The next day I can talk to her about that. Well, maybe she just forgot to record. Sometimes they forget that last one. But maybe she just weaseled out of a couple. So, you know, that's going to be the start of her practice that day. By the way, Marissa would have never done that. But yeah, I think that's really important. You can't just tell a kid, okay, go run your 48-minute drill on your own. It's not going to be the quality. And some kids, you know, the young bucks say sometimes the first 2 they kill themselves, and so it becomes a long workout. But but then I hate it too when you look at the last one and 7 seconds faster than the first 7, you know? So you gotta tell them, each one should be hard, but, you know, it's gonna get harder as you go. One thing we try to do it too a little bit is a training. I think there's kind of a training principle of a third. I found a lot in distance running in workouts. If you're a good competitor, you can usually do about a third of the distance at race pace, but to expect them to do 2/3 of the distance at race pace is too much. I mean, if you're a 5-minute miler and that's a 75-second 400, you know, they might be able to run 600 at that pace, but to expect more than that, I think is expecting too much. Unless it's just one time. I mean, if you're doing a set of them, you know, so that's kind of what we shoot for on that. Especially as the season goes down a little ways, and we're trying to get better and better at the field events. We have a lot of kids checking in and out. So if I'm a 300 hurdler and I'm a triple jumper, I don't always get to just do my hurdles and then go triple jump. I don't always get to just triple jump and go, what do you have to do? You have to check back and forth, right? Between the field events and the track. So what we might do, let's say Andrea, who is a pole vaulter, was gonna do five of the, a 30-minute drill instead of a 48, because she's also gonna do some pole vaulting. We might have her do the first couple, 48, that gets them nice and warm, then they go pole vault for a while, then they come back and maybe do 2 more, then they go pole vault again, then they come back and do 1. That's what you have to do in the pole vault, right? You have to go back and forth. And so that seems to help when you get in those big meets and you get in those situations, because a lot of times in a small meet, you know, you can just jump when you want to jump and do that kind of stuff. But I think that's especially helpful for the high jump and pole vault, where you are on a real regiment there, from, back and forth. So, anything else on the 48-minute drill? I know I talked a lot about it. I get fired up about it. Okay, we're on page 8 now, and you see this grainy picture of this hurdler. This is Evan Ward. He was a hurdler for us a few years ago. This was a picture in the Fairmont paper the day after our Sentinel relays, and you can see the nice form. He was only about 5'11", but he was a really good high hurdler. He went on to Augustana for 4 years, did a really nice job there. And I just kind of wrote down some things under form that I kind of look for in the hurdles. You know, the chest is over the lead knee, lead with the knee, not the foot, bent lead leg, focus on the next hurdle, look at his eyes, you can see that. Wrist inside elbow, I think that's one thing that I started to emphasize more and more that I didn't used to emphasize that much, but you see the hurdlers out here, right? You know, with their you've got to try to keep your wrist inside your elbow, you know, when you're bringing that trail leg over through and so on. And Evan was really good at that. His trail knee is out there at 90 degrees. You can't really see his toe there, but his toe is straight across, parallel to the track. And so that's about as good as it gets, I think, at the high school level. And he wasn't super fast, but he really had great form. And just a couple of hurdle things that I guess I want to mention as a hurdle coach. We don't use, maybe it's because of time, and maybe it's because most hurdlers do other stuff, at least in Fairmont they do, you know, if it was Wyzetta, they probably wouldn't, you know, we, you know, almost all our hurdlers do other stuff, so we don't spend huge amounts of time on form. It's been kind of an amazing thing to me is that I think the kids, if they're fast and aggressive all the time when they hurdle with spikes on, I think the form kind of starts taking care of itself, preaching a few basic things, you know. But if you spend all your practice just doing drills, to me, these guys are multi-event people. You know, they might have great form, but they might be slow. You know, so everything we do aggressive. If you're gonna hurdle, you can't hurdle. Like, if some kids aren't going 100%, I don't let them hurdle. Like, you gotta be aggressive and fast in the hurdles. You just have
How much do you have in spikes when you're practicing?
You know, if it's highs, pretty much always. You know, unless a kid gets sore, and sometimes they do. Yeah. For other stuff like 300s or even the hurdle warm-ups, we may not. You know, we do lead legs and trail legs and some of that stuff, but yeah, I would say for highs they're in spikes pretty much all the time. So again, probably my favorite high hurdle workout is a 1-3-5-7-5-3-1, where you're in the blocks, you go full speed over one, and I always have them go after they clear the first hurdle. Then, even though the second hurdle isn't there, I have them go full speed to the second hurdle mark, because a lot of kids would otherwise they would get in the habit, they go over the first hurdle and they stop, you know, or they let up. But you gotta keep going. So they do one, they walk back, they do 3, they walk back, they do 5, they walk back, they do 7, they walk back, they do 5, 3, and 1. And I try to have them always race somebody of equal ability. Now, if Evan here probably didn't have anybody that could race with him as a senior, so I would put some little 9th grader next to him just running, you know, and sometimes on both sides of the person, so they really feel the racing kind of thing, and that seems to work really well. And then I beat Evan Ward 3 hurdles, you know, the 9th grader could say, even though he didn't hurdle, but you know, so that seems to be a good workout for us. And I think, you know,